Welcome to another presentation from the DonPotter.net website. My name is Don Potter, and right now we're going to take a look at a very brief presentation of the Miller Word Identification Assessment. And I have several of these assessments here that we're going to be looking at today. It may come as a shock to people to know that some forms of dyslexia can be artificially induced in school or by the way that students are first taught to read or the way they're introduced to print. Nevertheless, a gentleman by the name of Edward Miller had listened to a guy by the name of Sam Bloomenfeld, a very good friend of mine by the way, and Sam had gone through the Dick and Jane readers back in the 60s and 70s, and he had demonstrated clearly how that studying the sight words in the Dick and Jane reader, in fact he calls it the thalidomide of modern education, the sight words, he demonstrated by going through the teacher's manuals and the books how that dyslexia could be artificially induced. Well, Edward Miller noticed that some kids had, in fact a grandson of his, had dyslexia before he went to school, and he tried thinking, well, how in the world could that be? And so he began to do some profound thinking and study into the development of dyslexia, what he calls whole word dyslexia. And he went into his grandson's room and found out that he had a lot of Dr. Seuss books. And he began studying Dr. Seuss and found out that Dr. Seuss had written his books from some sight words that had been given him. Won't go into all the details of that because of our time restraints on the YouTube presentation. But nevertheless, so he got to thinking, well, it looked to him like that his grandson's dyslexia was caused by the Dr. Seuss books. I know that sounds crazy, but just stick with us just a little bit and do some thinking with me and see what you think. Geraldine Rogers demonstrated a number of years ago that there are two ways to, back in the 1970s, she demonstrated, or she came to the conclusion that there were two ways to teach reading, from the meaning or from the sound, and that the way that a student is taught determined how that they would always read. Sam Bloomenfeld puts it this way: when you teach an alphabetic system with hieroglyphics, you create a reading problem. Or if you create, I like it, the way I put it is when you teach a sound association system with a sight association technique, you create a associational confusion. Nevertheless, if you learn by looking at the word and jumping to the meaning with sight words, you use the right side of the brain, you look at words holistically as pictures, and then you have to guess to get to the sound, which causes dyslexia. If you go from the visual to the sound with phonics first instead of sight words and go to the meaning, then you will become a very good reader. The question is, and so can dyslexia be induced artificially? Well, how in the world would you ever prove it? And Ed Miller got a brilliant idea. He said, let's take two lists of words. He took one list of words from Dr. Seuss's Green Eggs and Ham, by the way. He took 50 words from Green Eggs and Ham, and he put them in a list. And he had students read them, and he would time them. He would see how many errors they make and how long it took them to read those sight words. In fact, they're rather hard words, some of them, like the word "are," the word "boy," "anywhere," "house," "mouse," "rained," and then he took another list of words from Rudolf Fleisch's Why Johnny Can't Read and What You Can Do About It. He took another group of one-syllable words, easy phonics words, and he made a list of 50 words. He has the students read them, and and you can look at the errors, the pattern of errors, the number of errors, and the time it takes to read it. Then you compare the results of the student's test on both lists. If a student reads the sight words, the holistic list, way faster and with greater accuracy than the phonics words, that's positive proof they're going from the visual to the meaning and guessing to get to the sound. If the students read both lists at the same speed, with the same number of errors, or free of errors usually, then that's a sign, a clear indication they were taught with phonics first, going to the sound and to the meaning. Now what I'd like to show you in Josh, will you key in on this one thing right down here? This is one student who was in first grade. His parents brought him to me on January the 26th, 07. And they thought he had reading problems, and I tested him. He missed 25 sight words, 23 phonics words, and he was unable to pass my, even the first grade or even kindergarten level on my reading inventory, independent reading inventory, informal reading inventory. At the end of the year, I got a phone call. Mr. Potter, is there any chance you could work with our son? We don't think he's doing very well. I said, sure, bring him over. So I tested him on 6/1/07. He missed 3 sight words. Now get ready for this. He missed 28 phonics words. I asked, were they teaching your son phonics? I was told yes. What does this test tell us? What does the test tell us? That's right, Josh. The test tells us there's no way. I worked with him from January the 1st, 6/1/07 to 6/27/07. About 2 to sometimes 3 times a week, an hour piece in my classroom, taught him basic phonics. And I was getting ready to go home for the summer. We had a long ways to go in the program, but I wanted to see if we taught him anything. I don't even believe we had hardly started the long vowels. I give him another assessment. Take a look. He missed no sight words. He missed 6 phonics words. And when he spelled them, he could get those words right. We've continued working, and just last month on the 5th, I give him another test. He missed 0 sight words, 2 phonics words, and he was on middle 2nd grade level, which is exactly where he is at on his reading inventory. I understand he was the #1 AR reader in his class at his school this last year. And, this last month, I meant to say. This last month, he's the #1 AR reader in his school. His spelling is excellent. He loves to read. We out of time?
No.
What do we got?
We're running out.
Okay, we're almost out of time. So, I got other tests. I have one test here by a high school student that came to me in the 10th grade. She missed 13 holistic words. This is on this is assessment 1. There's a level 2. She missed 13 holistic words and 57 phonics words and had a 37% slowdown between the 2 lists. And I worked with her, and she's improved dramatically and doing well in school. I've given over 250 of these assessments, and I can tell you, it's nothing to have a student miss 4 or 5 sight words, and is on this list here, perhaps 4 or 5 sight words, and 20 or 30 or 40 of the phonics words. And when I teach them phonics, next thing I know, they're reading. Get a good phonics method, and you can cure this. Teach phonics in 1st grade, and we can cure artificially induced whole word dyslexia. Again, this is Don Potter from donpotter.net.
We still got 2 minutes.
We got 2 minutes left. All right.
Oh, I can zoom up on donpotter.net.
Go ahead. You can zoom in on that. And I'll go ahead. We got 2 minutes left. I will mention Sam Bloomenfeld, Ed Miller's friend, has a book that's called Alpha Phonics, which I was just teaching to a student here a minute ago, but I don't have it in my hand right now, or I would show you, which I have here someplace, but I don't know what I did with it. Oh, here it is. We'll go ahead and show you this book. Alpha Phonics by Sam Bloomenfeld is one book that you can get. Another one is Reading Made Easy for with Blend Phonics for 1st grade by Hazel Loring. This is available for free on my website. Both are excellent methods for helping kids with whole word dyslexia. This one is free and can be used in the classrooms very easily. As also, I've even taught this one to large classes. So anyway, we're going to stop right there. I hope you'll visit my website, donpotter.net, where you can download Ed Miller's test, give it to students, and send me the results.
Thanks.